Today I'm making my pickled duck eggs recipe and I'm going to show you how to make it safely and delicious. And I'm going to show you all my tricks so that you can make it too. Hi guys, I'm Elissa at Moat Cottage Homesteading, the small space homesteading channel. When choosing your duck eggs, you want to choose the cleaner ones and not the mucky eggs. We are going to be washing the eggs and boiling them and then peeling them, but we do want to start off with a clean product. It's better if your eggs are older because they're easier to peel. Now, duck eggs are harder to peel than chicken eggs, even if they've aged. So we've got a few things we're going to do to help with that. First up, we're going to wash the eggs to make sure they're clean. This also helps remove the membrane around the shell. You can see all of these eggs are good because they're not floating to the top. If they were floating to the top, it would mean they were too old, they were too aged, there was too much air in the egg, and they'd be no good. If they were halfway floating, they'd still be good to use, and we would know they'd be easier to peel. These ones are still pretty fresh, even though they're about 2 weeks old. Duck eggs do last a lot longer than chicken eggs. So what we can do to help the peeling process is to choose the round side. So the round end, this is the pointy end. It can be a little bit tricky with duck eggs. So this is the round end. That's where the air sac is. So we want to put a little hole in that. So what we can do is with a sharp knife and stable hands, I just tap on it in one spot gently so I'm not stabbing with a lot of force. And that puts a little hole in the end. That's my little tip from Trisha Brink. So she taught me that, and she's actually a community member here on Moat Cottage Homesteading, and she has her own channel too if you want to check that out. That's a bit noisy. I've got the eggs on the stove top and we're waiting for it to come up to boil. Once it comes up to boil, which it's nearly there, we'll be able to start timing, and we want to time for about 14 minutes to make sure those duck eggs are really hard boiled all the way through. The water's boiling, so I'm going to start timing for 14 minutes. Once your time's up, remove the eggs from the heat, strain the hot water out and let the eggs sit in some cold water for 5 minutes. Tap the egg all the way around so you can break up that shell. I also press the egg and try and break up that shell more into many different pieces. This just helps with removing the shell off the egg. And then we can remove that shell carefully so we're not piercing into the white of the egg. And then we rinse the egg into some clean water. Once your eggs are peeled, rinsed and strained, they're ready to go into your vessel for pickling. I'm using this jar. It's been sterilized. It's gone through the dishwasher so that it's nice and clean, and it hasn't got a metal lid. I recommend not using a metal lid when you're pickling with vinegar. Vinegar will eat right through a metal lid. So it might take a while, like a few months, a year, but it will eat right through metal. So it's not great for using for pickling if you're not going to be eating the eggs within a couple of weeks. Vinegar is good, however, for cleaning rust off metal. So if you've got rusty casters, like this fridge I have back here had rusty casters when I got it. They were so rusted up that there's no way they were moving anywhere. They were just seized right up. So I pulled them off the unit, put them in a bucket of vinegar for a couple of weeks, changed the vinegar a couple of times throughout that period, and now that fridge can roll around wherever I want it because the casters are cleaned right off. Now, this was many years before I was making videos, so I don't get to show you that. However, trust me, it does work. So place your eggs into the jar, making sure you're not pricking holes in any of the eggs, because If you do, then that could introduce botulism like the botulism toxin into the egg. I know it's a common practice for people to pierce the egg with a skewer so that they can get that pickling liquid right inside the egg, but it's not recommended because we don't want to be possibly causing people to get sick. Top the jar up with the white vinegar. You could use cider vinegar as well for a different flavour. We want the vinegar to cover the eggs, but we also need to fit some pickling spice in there as well. I'm using about 4 teaspoons of my spice mix, which includes cinnamon, allspice, mustard seeds, coriander, bay leaves, ginger, red and black pepper, cardamom and mace. If you use cloves in your mix, it's going to turn the liquid a little bit brown, so that's up to you if you want to include cloves in it. Some other things you can add into these pickled eggs are garlic bulbs crushed up a little bit and some beetroot slices if you want to get a pink look and make your eggs nice and pink on the outside. Turmeric is another one that gives you a bit of a yellowy look. And if you like dill, that's another ingredient you can put in there as well. Really, it's something you can just experiment with to make your own blend that you like. I'm just moving these spices around a little bit so that they can start to sink down to the bottom. Make sure you have no air bubbles in your pickling mix as well. Make sure you put the lid on nice and tight. The eggs can be left in this solution at room temperature from 1 day up until a year. Although the longer you do leave it in the solution, the more leathery the eggs will get, so they're really their best at a few months. They're a really handy snack to have on the shelf because you can do so many different things with these eggs. They're great for in sandwiches with a bit of mayonnaise. You can have them as a whole snack or you can pop them in a salad. Thanks for liking and sharing my videos and for subscribing as well if you've subscribed. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.